So I can see there's a few questions popped up. I'm not sure how to get them.
Yeah, what I'll do, I'll bring people on individually, mate, the ones who do want to ask them, because, you know, it's nice for them to ask directly, and sometimes they got more than one. So first, Kieran.
Yeah, nice one, D. Nice one, Ryan. So first question, I guess, would just be, are you still picking up Rent-to-SA deals during this climate, and how many, I guess?
Yeah, we are. I never really stopped picking up service accommodation deals, even through COVID, because I knew COVID was just a short-term thing. And I think I like to put myself out there, and I think early COVID I did make a statement on a video that service accommodation would be bigger and better than hotels. The last 4 weeks we've been fully booked, so that prediction came to light. So I'm fortunate now that I guess I've got the cash flow where I could set up these properties during COVID and know that I could have a couple of months downtime. But yeah, we're still picking them up. I'm still very keen on the strategy. We've got, I saw 15 in Sunderland the other day. We just secured 5 in Durham. We're talking about 19 down in Oxford. You know, so what I tend to do now is blocks. I still would take the little single lets and the terrace houses and stuff like that, because they do work. I think one thing with service accommodation is you don't need city centre, riverside front properties to make service accommodation work. That's not where the money is. The money's in contractors and businesses. So, and they like to stay in blocks, so they like their own apartments, but they want to be all together, and it's easier for the HR managers to book those places. So we now are working with companies and developers really to sort of secure blocks of stuff. There's a lot more money in it, and so we're continuing to run on that strategy. It's a good strategy. I think you should just have a good mix of all strategies in your portfolio. I think COVID taught us to be diverse, and there's probably a lot of smaller SA only operators that maybe went bust during COVID. Whereas we're fortunate enough that, you know, we've got the HMOs, we've got the single lets, you know, and everything in between to cash flow the business through when the SA business dropped off, you know. So
cool.
Nice one, cheers, man.
You have another one, Key?
Yeah, I can't remember what the what's your typical criteria for a Rent-to-SA? Like you said, you mentioned the terrace houses, for example. Is there a terrace houses that you look at and you think straight away work?
For me, it's all about the numbers and location. Got various research strategies to see how it works, but we've got everything from 1-bed houses up to 6-bed houses. I think is the most we've got on it. I'm actually in talks about a 10-bed house. So I think if I was starting out again, I would probably focus my area on 3-bed flats or terraced houses just outside of city centres, near good access to motorways. You know, tradesmen like to just park their vans outside. They don't want to have to be checking into NCP car parks and all that bollocks. So, you know, just 3-bed terrace houses if I had to only pick one, but everything works. Like some of our biggest stuff, some of our 5-bed, 3-story sort of townhouses are working incredibly well at the minute. Getting the larger groups coming through, you know, you're building them out at like nearly, some of them are like £1,000 a week, if not more, you know. So, you know, there's they work really well. So
nice one. No, I appreciate that.
No worries.
Cheers, Kieran. Next one's Gav. He said, what's your favourite strategy, Ryan?
Torn between serviced accommodation and BRR, so I would guess it would be BRR into serviced accommodation, because then I don't pay much for the house on a monthly basis, and it's like super renting it for maximisation. So I prefer serviced accommodation to rent. I don't know why, because there's a lot more involved in serviced accommodation. There's a lot more headaches, but I don't know. I just do, really. It's kind of, I guess serviced accommodation is really what blew my business up. So there's probably a bit of an emotional attachment to that strategy. But yeah, no, and I just feel like we've got it pretty well structured now. So yeah, it's a serviced accommodation probably.
But a quick one from me before I go on to the next one. So I'm jumping in here. So say from buy to let to SA, what sort of cash flow are you looking for? Firstly, from a buy to let to make it fit in your criteria, and secondly, from an SA. Like obviously, it's more anticipated with an SA because it's hard to gauge, but you roughly know what you're going to be looking for when you take it on.
Yeah, so when I buy a property, I run all the numbers based on a single let anyway, because SA might not be around forever, but single lets definitely will. I think SA will be around for a long time. So, but I think you should always do your numbers based on SA, and I always look for a minimum of £250 net profit a month after refinance. So obviously after the mortgage has gone up. And I don't want the money. I want the money out in less than 24 months. But typically we're working on probably less than about 18 to 20 months is kind of probably our average, I would imagine, on the deals we pick.
Okay, great. Next one was Oshara. Have you managed to get any offers accepted below market value recently?
What was that? Yeah, we bought a 5-bed. We bought a 5-bed HMO about 3 weeks ago. We bought it for. Well, I actually bought it for 97.5 grand. It's going to be worth 150 done up. It needs about a 20 grand refurb, and then after I do this all the time, I had the valuation done, and then went back and I managed to get another 7.5 grand off it. So I actually bought it for 90 grand. I'm a big believer that you should go back in for a renegotiation after you've had your valuations done. Served me very well over the years. So 90 grand, it'll stand as say 115 by the time we've put all the solicitor's fees and stamp and everything in there, plus the refurb, refinance it at 150. So it should be a decent deal. So yeah, there's deals out there. There are deals out there. I've had a couple of motivated sellers come out during COVID, as I mentioned earlier, and just desperate to sell. So, but yeah, I mean, we were talking about it earlier. The general market is quite hot at the minute, but I think you should just keep doing what you're doing because, well, what they say, 1 in 3 deals fall through. So by the time they fall through, the market's probably going to calm down. So if you just keep doing what you're doing, I think you'll start picking deals up.
Yeah, definitely. Next one's Ben, another SA operator. So Ben.
Awesome. Cheers, Steve. Thanks, Ryan. That was a really useful sort of listen to that. Thank you for that, mate. Obviously, I do SA in sort of South Wales in England now. And I've got a few VAs in my business already, but I'm kind of interested in like how you source deals using your VAs. So like what your funnels are. Do you do Facebook ads, any kind of stuff like that? I'm just quite interested to sort of find how you get some of your deals online.
Yeah. So we have our funnels, just sort of sales pages. I use ClickFunnels for all my stuff. So, and we do Facebook ads, run a lot of Gumtree ads, free advertising Gumtree. What else do we do? I've got the VAs over in the Philippines. They just basically scroll websites and then put data onto a spreadsheet. Obviously, I've taught them what we're looking for, what the areas are. And then, but yeah, no, Facebook advertising, I think we were running at about anywhere from £4 to £6 a lead for sort of rent guarantee type stuff. And, we picked a lot of business up through that. And, so I think you just got to, but it's like everything with marketing, it's just, you got to test, you can set Facebook ads live. And, once the frequency gets to like 1.6, 1.7, you're just putting your ads back in front of the same people again. And all of a sudden your conversions start to drop off. So you've got to refresh either your adverts, or you've got to refresh your copy or your images or your videos or whatever it might be. And we're actually, we've been working hard on a bit more of a generic strategy at the minute. So we're probably coming away a bit from the paid ads and we're doing a lot more generic stuff. And, there's certain ways we're doing that, but it's again, that was a $10,000 mentorship, all about how to get business through like generic Facebook sort of advertising, which doesn't cost you any money to do it. It's more just the time and obviously the mentorship, but I don't see those things as expenses. I see them as investments.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, agreed. Thanks, Ryan.
Cheers, Ben. Nice to meet. Next one's Alfred.
Hey Ryan, morning. Thanks for
Morning.
joining. Questions around the mentorship you did with Mr. GC, Ron Cardo. Just wondering, how was that? What was the experience like? I know he's quite an exciting person to be around, energetic guy.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. I got a lot out of it. So it was all pretty much online stuff. Obviously, he lives in the States and we live here. So I did meet him up in Scotland and had 2 days with him up there when he was over for one of the conferences that he was doing. But no, it was good. I think his Card on You training program was kind of the backbone of it all. So it's kind of like his video program, a bit like what I've got now. And just getting stuck into the sales side of it. Reading the 10X book was probably a game changer for me, because I used to think I was doing enough. So I was telling myself I was doing enough, and I'd be like, the results are going to come because I'm doing enough. But until you read that book, you realize you're not doing half as much as you should be. Yeah. And then when you and then from reading that, I was like, right, I'm going to up this a bit. And when I did that, then I started to see some serious results, you know. So, but no, it was good. He's a small man. He's only about 5'3" or something. He's not very big, and he wears these he wears these shoes with like heels on like this to make them bigger. But no, he's done incredibly well for himself. I actually think his wife's the driving force behind the whole thing. She is a very, very powerful woman. I
think so too.
But yeah, no, it was it was good, and I had a good bit of crack with his pilot Ryan as well. We got on very well, so we stayed in touch after we met in Glasgow, and I was going to go over for one of the super conference things he does, but just never got around to it. But no, it was good. It was good.
No, good to hear.
Cheers, Alfred. Cheers. Fresh trim, mate, I see.
Yeah, mate. I'm back.
So, Leah.
Hiya. Great presentation, thank you. It's one of the things that strikes me as being critics of essays seem to say that they don't like sort of R to SA, R to R, because you don't have a tangible asset at the end of it. So I'm guessing that the wise person would invest their cash flow in other things. And I think you mentioned BRRR. What type of other things do you invest in?
Nothing. I used to be stocks and shares. I used to trade Forex. I've had the ups and downs of all that, and for me, it's property all the way now. I don't really. I get the. I fully get the fact you should be building on your own foundations, i.e., your own assets, because you can control it. You know, at the end of the day, a rent to SA could get pulled from your nose at any point, but the way I get into them and the relationships I've got with all the landlords, for one, I don't see why they would ever pull it from me, because they're getting paid every single month. Their properties are getting cleaned every week. You know, I've done a refurb on most of them. But what I do actually say to them is, if you ever want to sell this property, you know, you've got your buyer already. Because if it's working for me as a business, I'll buy it off them. But yeah, no, I use the cash flow to buy more assets. So it kind of goes in a cycle. But BRR is a slow strategy. So, you know, if you've got, I think with 100 grand up in the Northeast, you can probably buy 5 to 6 properties a year, spinning that one pot of money. So, you know, our targets is 5 a month in terms of acquiring properties for the company. So, you know, that's a bit, I can't do that on BRR unless I've probably got, you know, £1 million sat in the bank just rotating through. So, but yeah, you use the cash flow to buy more assets and use the cash flow to get more rent to SA deals on or rent to rent deals on as well. Because done right, they're very powerful, and assets are only good if you're going to sell them at some point and cash them in. Because, you know, I had this conversation with my mum about 2 years ago, because she was like, oh, I paid my mortgage off and this and that and the other, and I'm like, why? Like, what for? What benefit are you going to get out of that, you know? And it's just, that's the way society breeds people, is you got to work hard 9 to 5 for the whole of your life, then you got to pay your mortgage off, and then you'll get taken into care and the government will take your house back off you, you know. So I managed to persuade my mum, who's very risk averse, to refinance a house, and we'll use the money to buy more assets. And she's now got a nice little portfolio for herself that cash flows her every single month more than the salary she was on at work, you know. So cash flow's king for me.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Next one, Gavin. What's different about your education to others?
I think, listen, I can sit here and say, you know, mine works and I'm the best and all this, but, you know, everyone can do that. I think I'm very one-to-one. I'm very much, as you can probably tell, I very much care about every single person that's on there. And if they need me at 11 o'clock at night, well, actually, I'll probably be in bed at 11, but 10 o'clock at night, I'll WhatsApp them back. If they need a phone call, we'll get on a phone call. I've got a very structured plan, so it's a 12-week program. It's week by week. It's very structured, and it is a very simple. If you follow these steps, you will get results. So it works. It gets results. I don't think it's a fortune compared to a lot of other programs, and a lot of the comments I get is mainly around how involved I am all the time whenever people need me. We have WhatsApp groups set up between us all, so it is very much a real-time mentorship, whereas a lot of these mentorships are, you know, you get one call every few weeks and that's it. You can't speak to them in between, and you're kind of left out there on your own a bit. So I'd say that, and it's just the whole program, the whole video program, the whole strategy. It's just basically what I've done, put on paper or into a video, and it works for me and it's working for others. So,
cool.
so yeah.
All right, nice. Next one's Dave. Dave.
Hey, right, cheers, D. Cheers, Ryan. I was going to ask that there's a lot of people who say that there's a lot of regulating to come in the SA industry in the near future. Like we've got the 90-day rule at the moment for some cities. Just wanted to ask, do you have any contingencies in place for further potential regulations on your SA units?
I think the only mass SA regulation will be similar to the HMOs, where there'll be sort of the fire regulations and the fire doors, smoke detectors, you know, your fire safety light and things like that. So whilst that's an expense, I think that's probably the only thing that's really going to take the whole of the UK and regulate it. At the end of the day, SA is a good business. You know, the government earn well from SA because, you know, once you get to a certain threshold, they get VAT on it. You know, it's a trading income. So, you know, they get a good tax out of SA operators. And so I think the only thing will be the sort of health and safety side of things, as opposed to 90-day rules in every cities and things like that. So for me, I'm not that bothered. If I've got to pay a license fee, I've got to pay a license fee. You know, you just factor that into the running costs. And if I've got when we do refurbs now anyway, I do tend to, if they're the bigger properties, I do tend to put them as, I do all the fire stuff anyway. Because if it doesn't work as an SA, I'll put it into a HMO and vice versa. So you've kind of got that double exit strategy. So I think that's probably the only things that's going to come with SA.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers, Dave. So at the moment, what would you say a good strategy is in the current market conditions when you've seen everyone overpaying? What are you doing anything different to what you were doing previously?
For buying?
Yeah, for buying and a sort of rent to SA, I suppose if there's a lot of demand of people buying, I suppose there's going to be a lot of demand of people out there trying to get sort of the rent to SAs and all that type of stuff as well. So how would you advise people stand out a little bit more and get a bit creative?
I think with the buy-in, you've just got to stick to your strategy. That hasn't changed for us. We're getting less deals at the minute, but I've no doubt that, you know, I think you mentioned October. I was hoping it'd be a bit sooner. But when those months do happen, you know, we will end up with double the amount of properties that we probably want to source, because we have a very strict follow-up process. Every couple of weeks you have to go back to the same estate agent and just, well, we click on the link on the spreadsheet. Is the property still listed? If it is, you go back to the estate agent and just ask about it. When we get to September, October, November, and we start doing that on the properties now that we've been seeing, all of a sudden they're going to be like, yeah, that's back on the market. Yeah, that's back on the market. And as we know, whenever a sale falls through, the vendors are definitely a lot more motivated to start accepting offers because they've already in their head sold it, probably already made plans to move on, etc., etc. So they're looking for a quick sale. So that for me hasn't changed. I think you just got to bide your time with it. On the rent to SA side and the rent to rent side, it's all about building relationships, and again, I don't think that's changed for us. You know, it's just continuing to get referrals, speak to the right people, and keep dropping your value offer. You know, I do think we've got a very good script, and the script is genuine. It's what we believe in. It's what we do, and it works for everybody. So when you start speaking to people about it, you know, price is just contextual. It's not. A lot of people get hooked on price, you know, whether you're paying for a mentor course, whether you're paying for a property, whether you pay, you know, a lot of people get hooked on price and think, oh, well, the landlord's advertised at £1,200 a month. I only want to give him £1,000 a month. Why is he going to accept that? Well, if you build a relationship and he trusts that you are the person to look after his property, that £200 difference, he might see more value in actually discounting it to give it to you because he believes in you and he can see what you've done and he trusts you. And that in itself just takes price out the window. And I think that's one thing that we've always done is explain our offer, explain our value, explain why we only want to offer a certain amount of money that might be slightly under the market value. And ultimately, you know, it's up to them to make the decision, really. But if you build the trust, I think you get the results.
Definitely. And when you're looking for, so when you're looking for location for an SA, what is it in the area you look for apart from the generic, you know, well, let's see how many advertising Airbnb, DNA, etc. What else are you looking for to make sure, yeah, an SA will work in that area?
Hotels.
Yeah.
Hotels is probably the driving factor. You know, these guys spend millions researching areas and make sure that the demand's going to be there for their, you know, 100 rooms or whatever it might be. So I always look to see how many hotels are in operation, how long they've been in operation under that brand name, you know, and that's pretty much served me well over the years, to be fair.
Okay. Next one's Craig. Craig?
Morning, guys.
Morning.
That's a great presentation. Thank you very much. I'm just interested in when you're scaling your business and everything, and what management systems you use for the business.
So I use Asana as our main sort of business system, and I've so the thing with Asana is it's fully customizable. So I've built. Behind the scenes, I'm probably a bit of a tech geek. I love a spreadsheet and formulas and everything else that goes with it. So I am a bit of a tech geek. So I built Asana out to solve every part of our business. So Asana acts as a tenant management system. It acts as a guest handling system for the service accommodation. It acts as a maintenance board for the maintenance team, a cleaning board for the cleaners. So it's all been built. It's all specific for my business. But then that also then feeds. So I use Beds24 as a channel manager for the service accommodation. That then obviously feeds Asana. Zapier is a great little tool that I use to feed systems. In fact, Zapier is one of the best tools I've ever discovered. And that just makes systems talk to stuff. So our business is very automated. I haven't actually got that many staff. Most people think I've got a lot of staff, but I'd rather employ a computer software than I would a person, for a few reasons. Obviously, they're cheaper. They turn up to work. They don't have sick days and they don't go on holiday. But they're just robust, and if you get them right, they work really well. So, but yeah, everything pretty much feeds into Asana or out of Asana, whichever way you want to look at it, really.
And did you develop those yourself, or did you have somebody to develop them for you?
No, I built them myself. Asana is like a platform that you can just buy off the shelf, and then it's just all about creating boards and flows and forms and stuff like that. So I then put it together how I want it to work. So, you know, when the girls click that a guest paid, it automatically moves their profile card to the next stage in the booking process or whatever it might be, you know, and it all kind of links up as such. We've got a few other things that we use. with the cleaners, we use a thing called Atto Time, so it like GPS tracks them in and out, so we know that exactly how many to the minute, how long they're spent in each property. Zapier, Asana, Beds 24. That's pretty much it. And Google Sheets, we use a lot of Google Sheets.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thanks. Cheers, Ryan.
No worries.
Good question, Craig. Next one's Amanda.
Oh yeah, what was the name of that cleaning thing again that you just said? I missed what you said it was, because I'm definitely going to get that.
Yeah, no, it's great. Atto Time, ATTO Time. It's really good. So I think it's $4 per seat. So we just set it up for each cleaner, and then they've got a clock on when they get into the property, and then they clock out. But it shows you if they clock out when they're at home, it shows you exactly where they've clocked out. So it like has a red dot. So you need like 2 green lights. So basically, we tell them if they don't clock in and out of the property, we don't pay them. So
yeah,
works well.
Okay, so my question was, after the valuation's been done and you do your renegotiation, that's something that I do as well. But where I get a little bit stuck, and I wonder if you've got any tips, is I find that either the agent comes back to me or the vendor comes back to me and says, but you're already getting the property at a discount, so that's all factored in. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just wondering what else you, or perhaps worked for you when you're doing your renegotiation after the valuation.
Yeah, I always just try and pick on a point. So like for this one, the one recently, the surveyor said that he couldn't tell whether the property had subsidence or not. So obviously subsidence is a bit of a no-go word really in the property game. So I did a bit more digging into it, and I realised it hasn't got subsidence. Basically, they tore a house down in between the two houses many years ago. So that's why they built this exterior wall. But because he'd mentioned that, I just went back and said, listen, this property's got subsidence. Everyone knows that underpinning's like a 20 grand job. So, but with even the little buy-to-lets, I haven't got anything wrong with them. I always just try and pick a point. Or it's got a bit more damp than we thought, or it needs a new roof that we didn't put in there. And I think confidence in that is probably more at the point, you know, if sort of saying, well, if they don't, I'll just walk away from the deal. And I think if you're not that desperate for deals, then you've got that sort of confidence to be able to walk away from deals. And most of the people that you're buying houses from are, you know, either accidental landlords or they're actual, you know, residential homes, and they're wanting to move on to their next venture. So they've already, like in my mind now, we bought a house for our family last Monday. We're already planning cinema rooms and, you know, and designing the house and everything. And if that fell through, we'd be devastated because we've already emotionally invested in that house. We've not even got it yet. So, you know, if someone came along and said, oh, well, I need to sell yours to 10 grand less, you'd be like, oh, well, it still gets us to where we need to go. So it's playing the game a bit, and it's a sales game at the end of the day. So, but you've got to be prepared to walk away. Or what tends to happen is they'll come back, and I have had it where they're just stubborn and say, listen, they'll just put it back on the market. And then to kind of save face, you kind of just go, well, all right, well, let me just run my refurb numbers again and see if I can shave some costs to make it work for me. And then ultimately you just go back to them and accept, you know. So, but I think confidence is probably the biggest thing.
Okay. Have you ever had an instance where, like, because I used to be an agent and I used to do it quite a lot, where the same investor keeps doing this on a regular basis, so the agent gets pissed off and says, you can't keep reducing your offers all the time once, do you know what I mean? Like, I used to get pissed off with that. Is there a way around it, or do you think it's just like getting your relationship with the agent to a point where they kind of know where you're coming from and they're backing you on it as well?
Well, yeah, I think you've got to say to the agent, like, how much money are you making out of that one sale off that one person versus how much money do you make off me buying all these houses all the time? Like, whose side do you want to be on? You know, so I need your help, and if you continue to help me, I'll continue to buy property from your agency. If not, I'll go and look at other agencies. So, yeah, it's all about relationships.
Sweet. Thank you.
Thank you.
No problems.
So yeah, it looks like we've come to an end there, Ryan. Thanks for today, mate. Already had a load of posts I've been tagged in by the looks, and I'm sure you have as well.
No, isn't it?
I've put, where's the best place to contact you, mate? I put your YouTube earlier on in the chat, and now I just put your Instagram. But is there any other places that you're active on?
Yeah, so if you go nextlevelpropertyinvesting.com, if you want to book a call with me and have a chat about the mentorship, if that's of interest to anybody, that's the way I'm going now. You know, we're just that's all I'm really interested in now is working with people. I'm also within that program. There's a JV opportunity and a deal funding opportunity. I'm looking to grow as well. So throughout the country now. So there's money on the table for people that come on board the mentor program now. So so nextlevelpropertyinvesting.com.
Wicked. I just popped them in the chat box for everyone, and you've probably all seen Ryan's Instagram anyway. I've been tagging him all week, so
Yeah.
But yeah, wicked. Thanks for your time today, mate.
No bother.
Yeah, some real good stuff. People taking away from that today. So yeah,
cool.
We'll catch up soon, and everyone have a good day.
Cheers, bud.
Thanks.
Pleasure as
guys.
always.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
See ya.